Hey guys, it's CALLOUS here, live with Jabba to record, I don't want to make promises, but maybe two sets of live ADV if this pans out. There are some scenarios where this takes an hour and a half, and we don't end up getting to do both, but we're going to do our best. The first set that we are definitely going to record is UD against Lanier. This is a round two match, and this is an unfortunate pairing between two of the tour favorites. UD in particular looked really good in the first round, whereas Lanier is obviously one of the favorites going into the tour, and he rolled over Teclis pretty hard. What are we expecting to see here?
I think it's really going to be dependent on what UD brings here, and obviously I think watching Linear Curves games last round, he went a little bit off the wall himself. With Linear, what I'm starting to find interesting is just the sets can be a little off the wall, and I think that throws a lot of people off. So if UD can come in here and he can just expect the unexpected, is I think how you have to play this matchup and kind of be unexpected himself. If your opponent's gonna go crazy yourself.
Not clear what they're waiting on here. UD is, there we go, finally switches. It took him almost a minute to make his turn one switch. He brought Jolteon into a Zapdos, and then Lanier has been spamming the crap out of Heracross for the past, say, 6 to 12 months in tournament play. He brought this a million times in Cup. I've seen him use it in other tours. Big Heracross fan. Interesting that he switches it into Jolteon. Am I correct in that Heracross cannot one-hit KO Jolteon with anything other than a Focus Punch?
No, it'll kill. It'll kill with Megahorn if it's banned. But that's the problem, though, is you're obviously
Megahorn is a
signaling.
is a guaranteed one-hit KO if it's banded.
Yeah, with Megahorn, yeah.
Fair enough. And here is the BP to Skarm, and it is Megahorn, and that does not look like CB damage, doing only 18%.
I
So,
mean, yeah, maybe that's odd because Hera has pretty good special defense too. So it's not like a T-Bolt is actually going to knock you into Slack range, and then you win from there. It's just odd. It definitely signals that, and I've been here before, where you don't really have a Jolteon answer. Because you have the Zapdos there, and if it comes down to your opponent has a Zapdos, you do a Zapdos fight, and that's kind of what you're relying on to beat the Zapdos. But if your opponent has a Jolteon, then I've been in that situation where it's like I have nothing for this.
T-Tar switching into Skarm would indicate that it's either banded or special. We see here Focus Punch, and by that damage, it might be CB. I mean, I think this is an offensive Coon. This looks to me
I
for
still I still think that needs to be CB to put out that much damage.
very well might
On non
be. For
on
you
non yeah, non CB I'm expecting 40ish.
For UD, I think we're looking at a Jolteon Spike Stacks team, and I think for Lanier, we are looking at a mixed offense of sorts.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think just right off the bat, I think UD has an edge because I think he has good answers. But like, look, he just chunked that hard. That might not be banned then because that does look like full offense with almost probably no EVs. Who?
It's a very aggressive Coon. Here comes Gengar. Notice that the Heracross does not have a Pinch Berry, nor does he have lefties, so I'm very curious what the Heracross is holding here.
I
Yeah,
think that's just banned.
yeah,
I
I
mean, it's
guess it
getting
is.
into the armory, and that's a four times weakness. So with that, or four times resist rather. So without that would have done close to 80. So that signifies to me that's band damage on a special defense Skarmory.
Well, Heracross looks all but dead. It will die when it steps on the spikes, and I guess there could be an off star or something in the back, but I think it is very unlikely that Lanier has a spinner. Focus Punch doing that much. I think we're clearly, or no, the T-Tar does have lefties as well, so we have a Focus Punch lefties Tar, which is either just 4 attacks, 3 attacks roar, could be a substitute set, and
It
then on the,
looks it looks like it almost looks like old school like Viltar right now,
yeah,
which I'm sad fell out of popularity.
well, we were just talking that Lanier has used weird sets throughout the tournament and catches people off guard with his choices. Perhaps this is another instance of that. And you might be right about what you said earlier as well. I mean, still half the team unrevealed, might be too early to say, but it doesn't seem like Linear has a great Jolteon switch that
Yeah,
he's
the
all
fact
that
that
comfortable with. He's staying in to go
forcing
for
this,
hidden power here is the best thing he can do.
yeah, he's going to force this all the way down. Kind of, if I'm UD, I almost want to just hold that jolt because it's going to clearly put in work. I don't know if it's worth forcing here, but Linear doesn't FP, so he does get the agility off, and we'll see what he's got in the back before.
Metagross. Ooh! Ooh!
That's one. That's one way of dealing with Jolteon.
Yeah, that's dirty. He's going to pass to the lightning speed Dugtrio with that agility boost and remove a Jolteon that I'm with you. I think otherwise I think he's pretty damn weak to that Jolteon, so I think that was quite relevant. That being said, I think UD's doing fine. Heracross, as we see here, is at 9%. It will die next time it comes in on the spikes. Dugtrio does not seem like all that exciting of a Pokemon in this matchup, and it's getting chipped down. Everything other than the Coon, which is not unhealthy, is relatively healthy for UD. I think actually, yeah, and the Zapdos is really low for Lanier as well. So I think if
Yeah,
anything, despite the scoreboard, I think UD actually might be winning right now.
I definitely think he's ahead, and obviously it's going to come down to the last two on each side. But I do think that he should have just pulled that jolt and saved it for another day, because it was clear to me at least that that coming in on the end game was just going to put in work. Obviously, you can never really predict that Linear is going to agility pass to the to the Doug trio, but
Yeah, there's a couple things there. I mean, not only did he get some kind of bad RNG because on either of those turns he could have crit or just gotten a full para and the whole thing's different, but the other thing is that like the obvious baton pass target is just, Metagross or something, right? Which
yeah,
he probably has a response to. It specifically had to be Doug Trio there. So Lanier kind of avoided the full para and the crit twice, and he had the exact thing that he needed to have. And I still think UD's ahead, like I said.
he definitely is.
It's
And
now
we'll see what
both
he
players ticking the time here.
probably doesn't. Does would you know off the top of your head if Drill Peck is
I
going to
was
do 12% to his Zapdos?
I was just thinking that. It depends. If it's max HP and it has defense to survive, like CB Ment's Rock Slide, Drill Peck will not get him. If it's anything resembling an offensive Zapdos, yes, Drill Peck will be good enough.
UD might be checking the
Check.
Jolteon calcs against the
Yeah,
Zapdos to see if he can pin down the HP it has.
yeah. I think that's exactly what's happening here. Figuring out can I Drill Peck. It seems
Because
pretty.
you really want a Drill Peck here.
It's pretty free, right? As long as it will kill the Zapdos, it's pretty free. I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? T-Tar comes in. Who cares? That seems
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Yeah, so if it kills, he definitely wants to go for it here. Uh, I mean, UD hasn't really shown now that Jolteon's gone. Maybe he might have a team that can't deal with electrics either in the back end, and was just overly relying on the Jolteon for that,
Like I said,
which
I
is
think
also
I think we're looking at a Jolteon Spike Stacks team. So what I think for UD is that he's going to have a T-Tower in the back, and his last poke is going to be either a Metagross, an Off Star. Man, he's pretty electric weak that way. I'm going to say probably a Metagross. He's got to have a Rock Resist somewhere, and it's not going to be Pert. So I think it's going to be T-Tower Metagross as the last two for UD.
I would like Metagross Celebi, but if he had Celebi, he would have brought it in a long time ago.
It's Jolt Spike Stack. It's got to have T-Tower.
Yeah,
Here is Lanier, the king of nicknames. Look at all these cute nicknames. I don't care, Dactyl, Swamp Perfect. Nobody
that's
can
pretty
beat
great.
Lanier with the nicknames.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Um, so what's the Suicune at 48%? I wonder if we'll see like if this is an off pert or something.
Spike Slayer number 3 and Ice Beam respectively, so UD gets air quotes further behind, but like I said, I think this game is way closer than it looks. Lanier has gained a little bit of ground since last we spoke, but I still think UD is in a fine position, especially if he has what I think he has, which is an Agiligros in the back.
I think and I think Pert forces us here. because I don't think anything else that Linear has really wants to take. Well, one option I guess is to sack the Zapdos to whatever Suicune throws out right here, and then just revenge with the trio. I would calc that, but considering this is full offensive part that took
Well,
52
doesn't
from Focus Punch, I think EQ would kill from here.
well Kuhn has to be really careful, right? Because can't Lanier just sack Heracross and then immediately go Doug without the Kuhn even getting a move?
That's what I was just saying,
We,
but with
we,
the
we used to
Zapdos.
sack. Right, but Zapdos doesn't die to Spike. Zapdos could let Kuhn hypothetically sub up, which would
Oh,
fuck.
you think this is going to be sub CM? Yeah, if this is if we're thinking this is sub CM, then yeah. But no, because sub CM
I think the most likely
wants to
set
run.
is Combine 3 attacks. Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, HP, Electric, or Grass would be my guess.
Yeah, this isn't sub, and you don't care if it's CM. So the option is what do you want to sack? Do you want to sack the Hera or the Zapdos? And you're right. I think the correct play is to sack the Heracross. Not because you're worried about anything, but just because there is a world that exists
Ooh,
where yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. This was another option just to force this pert here, um, and not sack anything. But that obviously without the pump miss, you're going to be looking at a extremely low pert, and considering you have no idea what's in the back, and if you are correct that that's an Agilogross you think in the back, then letting pert take that pump there was not the correct move. I don't think.
I wonder for UD if there's any value in preserving the Coon. I don't think so. It would be outsped and killed by the Doug trio. I mean, I guess it threatens the T-Tar, but yeah, UD is going to let it go. He does connect with the second Hydro Pump. There's the Earthquake. We very well may just see the Gengar here, which usually on this archetype does carry the grass move. I don't think this is a bluff. I do think he has it,
There
and
it
he's going
is.
to show it here.
So I think this is a great set for this position. I think it's gonna. So like you've said all game, UD is behind, but I think this is finally the moment where he kind of puts in some work and lands at least one kill here, if not two. This could be really difficult to deal with for Linear.
I mean, the 6-3 is really a 4-3, right? I mean, both Zapdos and Heracross are dead, effectively.
Yeah. Yes. Effectively, yes.
Yeah, this Gengar seems very dangerous, especially with HP Grass. Even T-Tower, I mean, it's only at 48%, and there's 3 layers of spikes down. That's not going to
Yeah.
live in HP Grass.
So yeah. So this HP Grass set here just kind of like wins. Depending on what do you think he has in the back there? Linear.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to think about that throughout the game. Man,
I guess we're gonna
I mean,
find out now because I don't think anything else can beat it.
yeah,
And we know that he can't beat it. Okay, there it is.
that guy
I
makes
was gonna
sense.
say,
It's mixed offense team that makes a lot of sense because it has to be something that doesn't get donked by Mag. So like I was going over, wait a minute, what about Mence? Nope. What about Gyarados? Nope. It has to be something that can beat Mag on its own. So I think we're looking at either a mixed Rachi or a fully special Rachi. This is a great play for UD. I still think his last is T-Tower, but maybe it's not. But either way,
well,
this,
if
this
it's Super Achi, which it appears to be, then I think the Gengar just wins. Or well, the Rock Slide.
Lanier
Oh yeah,
agrees. There's the concession.
that might have been a adamant trio. So it's just like I just literally cannot win. All right.
Well, he can't beat the Gengar at that point, right? No matter what he does to the Doug trio here, the Gengar just cleans him up, and there's nothing Lanier can do to stop that.
Well, theoretically, if that's Jolly, then he can flinch it. Um, but if it's adamant, then yeah, then that was just a game over right there on the spot.
There's the concession. UD looking very impressive in this tour, getting flashes of UD of old. He's going to take game one and put Lanier, who has an absolutely absurd CALLOUS Invitational record of 21-5, which is ungodly and disgusting. He's going to put Lanier on the back foot here, and Lanier's the best player in the history of this tour. He's going to have to show us why.
Yeah, big props to UD. That was a really good team matchup. So good team choice. That's pretty much all you can say. I think that was one of those games that just played out kind of how it was always going to play out. Linear was extremely weak to both, I think, Jolteon and Gengar, and then had no. It was odd because it was a team that lets spikes come up pretty easily, but then also has no way of dealing with it. Uh, the best way for that team to deal with spikes is frankly just hoping that you catch the Skarmory with a focus punch, and then just get rid of it early with the CB Heracross.
Yeah, this
But
very
he he was forced to Mega Horn early because he doesn't didn't have a Jolteon counter, which let the Skarm come in for free, and then it was just kind of downhill from there. I think.
this very well may have been a pick, knowing that Lanier lately has been a huge proponent of these mixed offenses. He may have made a very conscious choice to use this team. And I mean, it looks great. Doug Trio looks great in this matchup. The Gengar set's great in the matchup. The Jolteon's great in the matchup. Like you said, this just whether through strategy or whether through coincidence, UD found himself a very good matchup here, and it played out the way that it more or less should have played out. Regardless of the play skill of Lanier, UD set himself up to win.
Hopefully, for UD, he can be that lucky or skillful again.
Yeah, I mean it's still very early in the tournament. We're only in round 2 here, but UD against two very high quality opponents in Fakes and Lanier is yet to drop a game.
That would be impressive if he makes it through this round unscathed. I think he's got to become like a quick favorite almost if he does.
Yeah, I mean certainly he looked impressive in round 1, but just one round is simply not enough to you can't jump to conclusions. It's not a big enough sample size, but especially if he were to 2-0 against Lanier, I think that would put everybody on notice that he's back to form, he's the real deal, and he's one of the tour favorites.
I'm gonna ask him what vitality pills he's taking to cure his boomer brain.
Right? You and I could both use them.
uh, we're waiting on game two. Both players looking long and hard at their team list.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the delay is here as we wait for game 2.
I'm gonna go tell UD to bring Camerupt. Inside information says this is the matchup for Camerupt. You know what I want to see one time this tour? This is completely unrelated to anything, and just the fact that we're waiting a few games. I would love to see an Entei.
Never say never. I'm gonna say
I
the
mean,
odds are not great.
I think the metagame. You see some weird fire types sometimes. You see people bring Charizard. See people bring Blaziken. I'm saying why not Entei?
I'm trying to think if that poke has been used ever in any of the 3 Callous Invitational terms. I think it has a lifetime rate of 0.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, this is really interesting. These are the exact same leads as the
I'm having
previous
some
game.
deja vu on this one.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Kuhn against Zapdos again. Did they both bring the same or similar teams? That would
If they
be
loaded up the same teams, then UD is going to have the easiest 2-0 walk of all time.
yeah against Lanier of all people, right? I mean, wouldn't that be great? UD is sitting here hoping they loaded up the same teams. There we go.
Already threw that out the window.
All right, so very likely we're looking at a polar opposite of the previous, which was Jolteon Spike Stack. We're probably looking at a pretty hard stall here for UD. Probably looking. There's probably a Claydol. Almost inevitably, there's almost a Claydol here. I mean, I could just fill out the whole team, right? It's just fucking Claydol, Doug Trio, Gengar, Skarm.
Already, that's what you're saying? Maybe I run teams like this where I just have Blissey as a pivot in there, and then the rest of it's like TM spam or something.
You don't run Blissey. Get out of here with your filthy.
I do. I have multiple teams with Blissey on them. Yeah. Like, look, I have one here: Skarmory, Metagross, T-Tar, Mince, Swampert, Blissey. It's always Calm Mind, though. I refuse to not run Calm Mind Blissey.
Right, gotta run the bad sets only.
Well, it's the only version that can actually kill stuff. I'm really partial to Calm Mind, Flamethrower, HP Grass, which I think someone brought last round.
Hey, speaking of killing stuff, She better do that here. She's going down. There's the EQ. There's the ice beam. Not enough. Fishing for the crit or the freeze gets neither. And UD is going to have to play the rest of this game without Blissey. That was a very good sequence for Lanier.
That was huge. I'm always curious when that exchange happens, whether it was because you kind of find that the Doug Trio Blissey matchup, which is the most important matchup for Doug Trio these days, has kind of formed its own little arms race, So you have Blissey, which pumped up to max special attack modest to kill the Doug Trio. So in response, you're seeing people run special defense EVs on the Doug Trio
Hey,
so that it wins the one-on-one.
do you know what non-calm mind Blissey would have won in that situation?
What's that? Counter?
Counter. Yep. That's another Blissey that can kill stuff.
Yeah, counter is pretty good. Catches me every single time I meteor match it.
I mean, there's no world where Lanier fucking switches Doug Trio full health in on Blissey there and goes, you know what? I'm scouting for counter. I'm pulling it back. Like,
I know, right?
you go for it 100% of the time there, right? So, like, he just walks into counter always, right? If it's there.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of a counter resurgence. I think it's really good. I think when you can just take Mix Gross, which I think is one of the most annoying Pokemon to deal with for full stall or balance, and you just eat the mash, counter, kill it. That you can't ask for much more than that.
UD is taking over a minute to figure out what to do here. Maybe I'm wrong about what the team is. I mean, the obvious play in my mind, if he has a Skarm, is get it in and spike up, right? Because that kills the Doug Trio effectively.
You think he doesn't have a Skarm, or he's just making Linear sweat.
I must be wrong about what the team is.
Or he's just polishing off a beer.
Skarm is so obvious here if he has it, so maybe I'm incorrect about what the team is.
Or maybe he could have a Skarm, but he wants to. No, there's no way. Even if you have like a mixed Ments, you go Skarm here.
Of course,
because you want the layers up before you get the mixed Ments in.
Right, and the spike kills the Doug Trio.
That's also true. Yes.
Oh wow!
And he does it. Okay.
What a combo! Blissey and Heracross. Those are on the same team in this universe.
These are the games I'm playing. I would have EQ'd there. Because I'm figuring if he's banned, he wants to go focus punch, and if he's this, then you probably end up killing it before it does enough damage. But that works too, just being able to get the wisp off.
There's so much stuff going on here. Lady Gargar is again an awesome name for Lanier, and then
Gargar, Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean, it needed to be female. I mean, now Lady Gaga, the celebrity, does kind of look like a dude to me, so maybe it should be a male. But
what dudes are you looking at? What clubs are you going to, my friend?
Oh, I don't find her attractive at all. That's all you.
Really?
But the other thing is that Gengar's going to risk the Will-O-Wisp into a.
That was huge. Yeah, that's a huge risk.
Imagine if it had guts. Gengar's fucking dead.
I have seen people run that for that exact reason.
Absolutely.
But you do get into a trade there, because then you just bring the doggy back in, and then you kill it. So from Linear's perspective, it's a fine trade, even if you miss or it's guts.
I'm a firm believer that there's only one correct Doug Trio nickname, and Lanier does not have it. The only nickname I think for Doug Trio is Teach Me How to. Hey, show some respect. That guy's dead.
Who is?
The dude who did that song. I don't remember his name, but he's fucking dead.
When did he die?
A couple years ago.
Oh, that's sad. Now the world will never know how to Dougie.
Now it's Lanier taking the time here.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot.
I mean,
because he's probably going to have to sack something if he doesn't have because this is going to come in with the Rock Slide again probably, so he can't switch Zapdos in. You don't want to switch T-Tar in because that does nothing.
If you're Lanier, can't you just go to Swampert here?
If you have it, yeah.
I think he does. I mean, it's bulky water X. I'm trying to
No,
think what the team is for Lanier. Are we looking at Swampert Rachi or like Coon Rachi or something in the back?
I
Taunt
have no
Rock
idea.
Sled.
This is my weak point in the game is pinpointing what people have on the back.
Well, he needs a rock resist that isn't Dugtrio, and he needs a water. So it's either Swampert X or I guess it could be. I mean, it's not going to be Flygon without a Magneton. Could be, I guess, Claydol Milo or Claydol Coon, something along those lines.
I hate Claydol on this team. It loses
That's why I think it's Swampert.
so much momentum. Swampert's fine as a pivot, yeah.
There's the
Swampert and then
Earthquake.
really wherever else you want to run.
So
There's
that
also I was gonna say there's also other ways you can branch out. You can run like Metagross plus something if you want, like
Metaments or
Suicune,
something.
Meta Suicune, Meta Mence. But
Well, that
probably Swampert, if I had to guess. It's always the safe bet with these types of teams.
That's going to leave us in a 5-4 favoring Lanier. It is now UD again taking the time or figuring out what to do. I have no clue what his team is now, but we're going to find out. Here is a Salamence, which does have leftovers, we see. So we're looking at either a mixed or a DD Mence. Salamence is one of the best Dugtrio punishers in the game. This is an
I
interesting
don't,
turn for UD. Like, even if it is DD, are you playing around Swampert? Are you playing around Zapdos? If you're mixed, do you just click Dragon Claw here? He's gonna go DD.
wow. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way it's mixed because otherwise a Skarmy would have came in already to drop some spikes. I've seen it done, but I just do not like the power level of mixed ments without spikes. And considering how much UD does like spikes, I don't think there's any way you want to combine the two. So it was pretty clear that this is going to be DD. I'm surprised he clicked DD for the exact reason you said. Maybe he's DDHP. No, you can't be DDHP grass with this. So yeah, I mean it's going to work out for him theoretically because Linear still. If he had Swampert, you think that's when he finally would have went to it. So maybe he doesn't. Maybe his rock resist is Metagross or Jirachi.
I was just gonna say there, and we didn't get to see it because of the para, but I wonder from Lanier's end if that's a T-Tar that's EV to always live that Earthquake, and then maybe it had Ice Beam and would have got him there. But full.
There is the Pert. So we could be. Does that mean this is Endeavor Pert? Or maybe he was just hesitant to switch in because he thought it might have been a mix.
Like I said, I suspect that T-Tar actually might have had Ice Beam. I think that was bait to try to get the Salamence to stay in and get him back with Ice Beam, which pending a full para or crit would have been enough. But the full para did kick in.
I think the odds on that are risky if that's really what you want to go for,
You could be
assuming
right.
this is.
It totally could be Endeavor Pert. We're going to see in a second. UD's thinking about it too. He is well aware that this could be an offensive pert, this could be an Endeavor pert, or it could just be a normal bulky pert that's going to get him with Ice Beam. Some Salamences are EV to live Ice Beam. He doesn't play around it though. He goes meta, and it does have Ice Beam, but that doesn't tell us anything. That could still be Endeavor or offensive or
That
defensive.
damage seemed low, but this could be like a protect defensive gross.
Yeah, it certainly could be that.
But it's more likely this is just a standard pert and not what I've been calling it, which is power pert, which is 252 plus throwing out hydro pumps.
It's probably just protect 3 attacks, or I guess it could be protect roar 2 attacks, but probably a pretty standard Swampert here, I think. And there's
Yep,
protect and toxic,
and that is the
respectively.
toxic effect. So the Suicune I like a lot in this end game, and then obviously on the other side, Zapdos I like a lot in this end game. So I think it's gonna come down to kind of who can pivot first into that and then put in the damage. Like if I'm UD, I just want to come in. I just want to throw out ice beams and catch the Zapdos.
There's a
On
last. Not what I thought there would be, but he's not going to get to show us much of anything. Venusaur is going to get immediately blown up on. I don't know if that was the intended target or not. He might have been trying to come in on a
I
toxic.
think he actually wanted to catch that perk.
Oh,
which
I
is
meant.
why he's saying
Oh, I
nice
meant.
play in chat right now.
Oh, I meant for Lanier. Obviously, UD wanted to catch the pert,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but I don't know.
You
I think Lanier was trying to come in on a toxic, but
or yeah, that's probably what he's trying to do. Yeah, which also equals a good double on Suicune, so it's a two for a situation.
well, now it comes down to the classic game with Zapdos. Which hidden power do you have? If it's ice, UD might have some trouble here. If it's
This could
grass,
actually be
UD's got a
ice.
shot. Yeah, no, if it's ice, then UD's got a problem, right? I mean, both the Coon and the Zapdos would, and the Salamence rather, would lose. So it would come down to what the last poke is for UD, which is, well, that's not going to super help him. Magneton, I mean, under some circumstances, can beat Zapdos 1v1. Had it just switched in on a Thunderbolt, that would not be a good start, but
Um,
instead, Lanier went to Swampert.
Paralyzing it there is kind of good enough though. Although you do have to be careful of the Doug trio coming in. So this is interesting. I think he'll probably Linear will just protect here for no reason.
Ah,
What? And he catches them, and oh wow,
maybe he just didn't have HP Grass. Maybe he was an HP Fire variant, and all he could
that,
do there was Toxic.
that's probably what it was, which is unfortunate for UD. I mean, it's still not lost. If this is CM lead, you can just CM up here.
And here it is.
Let's see who's faster.
Gotta be the
Zapdos
Zapdos.
is,
Yeah.
but you still got to throw out beams, and I guess you hope to get lucky. Depending on EVs, you can actually maybe win this.
I mean,
No, I don't think so.
if the
I think
Zapdos is offensive enough, a Crit Surf will get him right here. Crit Surf plus Sand could kill him right here.
yeah, but then the uh, Dougie comes in, probably kills with Earthquake, and then Mence comes in. Then you go to Pert and you just win.
Yeah,
So
he.
I don't think there's any line here for UD. I think he just loses.
Yeah, Salamence at that point would have to get like a flinch and then a crit or something along those lines, which is obviously not what he wants to play for unless he absolutely has to. And that's probably it. We already know the Swampert has Ice Beam, so it would take a miracle sequence of flinches here. He's gonna survive the Ice Beam, but not the Sand, and we are headed to a game 3.
Yeah, that end game was tight. I think I think the turn of the match was on the boom turn. I think UD did make the correct play immediately booming, and I think Linear sacking Venusaur, whether intentionally or unintentionally, as you mentioned early, I think is what won him the game.
Yeah, had he lost the Zap, that would have really mattered in this late game. Had he lost the Swampert, he would have a hard time against the Salamence. I guess he could have boomed on the Doug Trio, in theory. That would have given UD a line in which maybe the Coon could have beaten the Zapdos, and then all of a sudden the Coon's a problem. I mean, granted, if the Venusaur gets a Sleep Talk off, maybe the Venusaur is a threat as well, but probably either the Dougie or the Venusaur is the best thing from Lanier's end that could have gotten blown up in that case.
Yeah, so that made Venus sort of. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Linear, so he's probably thinking about it. The two options that are coming out right there are Toxic or Boom, and Venusaur is the best switch in for both of them. So from Linear's perspective, that's just always the correct switch. And obviously, UD doesn't have that knowledge. He hasn't seen the Venusaur,
It's
so there's nothing.
really hard there for UD to be thinking that the last poke is Venusaur. That
There's nothing
doesn't.
yeah,
There's
that you can't really play around that because from his perspective, the Dougie's never coming in. So from he's thinking maybe it's either Pert staying in or the Zapdos is going to come in. And so either world, that's a good boom for UD. And then obviously, he was just in a situation where Linear's last Pokemon didn't really let that plan come to fruition. So, I think that was the right play by UD. And, sometimes you get punished for not forcing out your opponent's last.
Yeah, it's really hard there for him to think that it's Venusaur. UD's mental list, his short list of what the last could be, even if he had two or three pokes in mind, I really doubt Venusaur was on it. It's very, very hard in that situation to play around that specific poke.
Yeah, and I guess if it's a Celebi, you're probably losing anyway, because now you have like three different targets you really want to boom on.
Could have been a Starmie as well, which, again, an off star in that situation also could be difficult. Bolt Beam Star, something that would be probably difficult to play around in that position for UD once you lost the Bliss.
Yeah, that was a tight one though. A lot closer than the first game, and I don't think that one was decided by team matchup. I think that one was actually decided by in-game plays, which is always nice to see. You like to see that.
So if you're, I mean, both seats really, but I know you're closer with UD than you are to Lanier. If you're UD, what would you have him bring in game three?
Let me think. Considering what Lanier's been bringing, if I'm UD, I bring Doug Trio CM spam.
That's interesting. Lanier has not brought a Blissey. I don't know if he's brought a Bliss all tournament. Maybe in round one. I don't recall. Not in this set. If he did bring it in round one, it would have only been the one time.
Yeah, and his teams have just been incredibly weak. You could even bring a Raikou based team. If judging by game one is any example, he's not really bringing the best. He's bringing a lot of electric weak teams, which can happen. I've fallen into the same trap when you're bringing a lot of offense. Your Zapdos counter or your electric counter period is just outpacing them, and then being able to win or force kind of a Zapdos war. So taking advantage of that, bringing maybe like a Raikou Doug Trio CM spam team. Make sure you bring a Jirachi. I think Jirachi's been matching up. Maybe not.
I was
Definitely bring Celebi and Doug Trio. Hope that the Doug Trio that Linear brings catches the Celebi that you force early. Kill it with your Doug Trio, and then win with the Raikou and or the Jirachi or the Suicune or whatever you brought in the back. That's what I would lean on right now if I were UD. I don't know if UD has ever brought CM spam. Have you ever seen him bring CM spam?
Oh man, no idea. You put me on the spot here. I'd have to.
Well, I just know you probably paid closer attention to more of these matches than I have. So I watch them all year, but I never kind of take note. Who brought what, who tends to bring what. I'm not like triangles where I'm making like a mental Rolodex of what people bring. No shot at triangles. I think it's really impressive that he can, speak about a specific player and can kind of list off what they like to bring. But that's not me. I know if people like to stall because I need to make sure I kill stall, and then outside that, I don't really care.
Just waiting on game three here. This is one of the beauties of doing it live, where there is sometimes a bit of a delay in between games, and we don't know when the third game is going to begin. But
Or Asta and Anti being cool, I guess.
I was just going to say that. But Anti and ABR, I believe, are waiting on the conclusion of this set before beginning their own series.
Did I say Asta? Yeah, ABR, my bad.
Same thing.
Let's start with A. Same thing, pretty much.
I was thinking about that earlier when I was thinking about HClat and Georgie's match. I was looking at Georgie's usage statistics, and he's played a lot of Pokemon. He has a very, very large sample size. And in his usage statistics, he has one Blissey.
That's hilarious, actually.
Well, it's just like the whole point, right? Is that like this very, very offensively inclined player who never brings that. That's how you win these tournaments. He gets deep in the tour. It's round five. He's like playing to get into the money. Don't you just bring out like fucking full Blissey Dusclops stall that no one is ever in a million years gonna prepare for against him or play or think that he's gonna bring?
You would think that, but I've done that before. Like literally, what you just said, I have done, and it turns out a lot of players don't like to overcommit that hard to counter styling. So they like to bring what they like to bring, and sometimes even the best players in the game aren't going to think about what you're bringing. They're just going to click one of the teams they have. But even players who put a lot of effort into team building and counter styling are almost never going to go hard in that direction and go say, I know he's not going to bring Bliss, so I'm just going to lean on that. And so then you try to counter that. So for instance, when I did that was I had probably not run stall in probably 5 years or so. And so one of the recent SPLs, and by recent I probably mean like 3-4 years ago, I did exactly what you did. I went, you know what BKC is never going to fucking expect? Stormclops doll.
Okay, but he's the wrong person to do it against because he's not at all counter teamer. He gives zero fucks what you bring, and
Yeah, and
is just gonna
that's
bring what he thinks is the best team. But there are some
no, yeah,
guys that are
that's exactly my point. Is that like you almost have to do as much research against your opponent to see that they personally counter style their opponents. So it's like at that point, just bring what you're good at. you know,
you gotta do it against someone who's known to be a counter teamer, against like Star or ABR or someone like that who you know is gonna match up fish against you.
see, and that's the thing. I don't know who's a matchup fisher. I would need someone to tell me who is going to fish matchups, and then I'll reverse course.
I need someone
But
to
ever
tell
since
me
then,
when this game 3 is starting. That's what I need someone to tell me.
I know we're on Ramble City right here, filling time. Linear running simulations. Shout out HCLAT.
I haven't looked at the Discord because I've got my whole screen is being recorded at the moment, so anything that I check will be immortalized forever.
UD grabbing beers. that those two lines perfectly encapsulate their two differing styles.
One's running analysis and one's just chugging beer.
Yep.
These guys know each other and have been buds, have been friends for a number of years, so that certainly probably plays into it here. They definitely know each other's preferences. They definitely know how the other guy plays in game. And certainly that's kind of like an intricate thing that we from the outside looking in couldn't really speak too much about. Obviously, their relationship is their relationship, but I'm sure on some level that factors into the team choices. Here we go, game 3. UD is leading with a T-Tar and topside Lanier. That's weird. He has I don't care a Dactyl as a Metagross this time instead of Zapdos. What's going on here?
This is crazy. This is unacceptable.
Well, it makes sense when it's a bird, but like not for a giant mech. What is this? Horizon Zero Dawn?
good good start for Linear. Obviously, I love that. I love bringing a mix gross leads, and this is probably one of my favorite matchups to get into. Although I don't know if you know just noticed the trend of the speedy T-Tar lead, and so you mix gross actually straight up loses that matchup to fast Fire Blast T-Tar, which I think is hilarious. But usually they're not staying in anyway.
Traditionally, T-Tar gets out of the way in this matchup out of fear of Meteor Mash. The question for Lanier becomes, do you do the Jabba play and just always click Mash, or do you switch it up and try something else?
That's a banned brick break right there. That man does not want to miss Meteor Mash.
You know what? Good thing UD didn't stay in. That probably wouldn't have felt all that good on the T-Tar.
No, but Mash definitely would have put in a lot more damage. That's almost what 1.5, so that would have put in like 36 to 40. That's why you just always click Mash, man.
Zapdos is
That
safe
is
switch there. It plays around Earthquake. It plays around Mash. Even if he had gone like HP Fire or Thunder Punch or something trying to catch a Scarm, Zapdos is just a really safe play there where not too much can go wrong. It would have to have been like Toxic or something there.
funnily enough, that does actually signal that Metagross does not have Rock Slide, so this Zapdos can actually switch in until the end of time, until it wants
Eh,
to get moved on.
can only take so many mashes here. I mean, it could
Well,
take.
yeah, I mean, but for the foreseeable future, assuming that this is an offense v offense, oh wow, is he just clicking break again?
You would think so, and UD's got to know that. So he's obviously
That's
got
an
to
interesting
switch with that
play.
in mind.
I guess we'll see. Right, this is the time where we find out if UD has a Gengar. Obviously, not something you want to show this early, but I mean, it's going to be your best switch in here if you have it,
Ew!
and
Wow,
that
38% damage on that coon.
obviously signals a drunk off the goose. That signals a full offense coon. So we're probably going to just see a hydro pump come out right here, unless he wants to set up a CM, but doesn't seem like the time for that. You just want to get as much damage.
It's interesting. I wonder if Lanier is considering staying in here. I mean, he would live a hydro pump, and especially if he's thinking a calm mind might come down. I don't know.
Yeah, the pump's going to do what, like 60-ish? And then the break is going to knock him down to 24. It could be the play. I think the Metagross is going to put
Well,
it.
there we
Well, if
go.
you have a Blissey, it's not even a question. Obviously, you just pivot Blissey every time.
And hydro pump misses anyway. So I'm not sure what exactly we're looking at for UD. This might be we might be looking at like a.
It just looks like a standard kind of like we've seen before mix offense. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's got more in the back, like a Metagross or
I
maybe
was
like a Jirachi or that kind of stuff. Doug Trio could be in the cards.
I was thinking UD was gonna have a Scarm. I was thinking this is basically Jolt Spike Stacks minus the Jolt. Basically Jolt Spike Stacks with Zapdos.
I mean, it could be. This isn't how. That's not how I would build this specific sort of team. But obviously, I'm not the most standard builder.
Well,
But
that
I'm not
my
running.
my theory's out the window. So we're looking at, I guess, a mixed offense. It looks like.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's got the Suicune Snorlax combo, but presumably they're both going to be extremely offensive. So this is probably Curse Boom right here. Um, so the CM Mash is going to come in right here. I don't know the exact calcs at the +1 defense.
I was just gonna
Oh,
ask you to
the
run the
Brick Break
calc on
right
the
here.
brick break, but self
That was
destruct
that
is
was
going to
great.
trade. He's
He
got
really he well the issue with that play right there is that he does not have he's got very limited space remaining on his team to actually kill a Blissey. And the downfall of these types of teams, which are the types of teams I like bringing, are that if you blow your Blissey killers, then you can just lose at a certain point.
I think they're
So
both satisfied with that trade. I think for UD, he takes out a very dangerous Pokemon in the CB meta that can obviously and has already done quite a bit of damage to his team. But I think on the flip side, I think what we might be looking at for Lanier is like a full or almost full stall that does not have T-Tar. And I think
uh,
because he didn't bring Sand, he actually might have been nervous about the Lax on the other side. So I think Lanier might be okay with that trade too, because Lax might be a poke that he has a hard time handling.
yeah, UD yeah, and no, I think that was beneficial to Linear every time. UD's probably going to pass here, you would think, because he really needs to get momentum on the Blissey. Linear might be able to take advantage of that, and counterpoint, so might UD. But I don't think Linear is going to get that fancy. There's no reason not to just go Blissey here.
Let,
So if I'm UD, I pass.
let's note here on turn 7 that a Focus Punch only did 30%, so that is obviously a very bulky, defense-minded Coon.
Yeah, so he can just get into that cycle again. He can probably focus punch again right here. Yeah, Linear does not want to risk this Blissey because this Blissey is going to be I think, the backbone of his team
I think
to make
I,
sure.
I think Lanier's gonna have a Doug Trio in the back. I think Lanier's running a very stall. I think he's got like Dougie Doll in the back. Might
I
even
wouldn't go that far yet, but we'll see.
Dougie Doll Scarm is how I would fill out Lanier's team.
So this is rest. I wonder if you just focus punch again. Probably not. Probably another surf coming here. It's tough though because the Zapdos is limited on switching in, and that seems like his best switch in after booming the lax. I don't like the lax boom that early. I think you need it for too much right now. Just of what he's shown so far, of what Linear's shown.
Rock
He does
slide
get
trying
to
to
the flinch
prevent arrest,
and
and
he
he
gets
gets
it.
it.
You
Gets the
know,
flinch. It's
that
exactly
is
what he's
one
looking
way.
for.
That is one way to do it. So props to UD.
T-
Ban rock slide.
T-Tar's faster here. That might come back to bite him. Sometimes Bulky Coon sits at exactly 222. Adamant Doug. No, it's a Starmie coming in here.
This could be a huge problem for UD. Just the way he switched into the Suicune, I'm kind of thinking that if this is offensive and not just a chunkster, I'm just saying hopefully this T-Tar has crunch for some reason. That would not fit this set at all.
Focus Punch
And would
Rock
make
Slide Crunch. I'm going to say
yeah,
probably not.
yeah, that makes zero sense. But like I said earlier, sometimes you have to bring the unexpected to win against Linear. So in what world are you expecting Focus Punch Rock Slide Crunch?
The one where you ever play in this tournament again. Well,
Yeah, I mean, UD hasn't shown his two last, but I have a very strong inkling that there are two Pokemon that do not want to switch into Stormy. That's just my early prediction.
yeah, I mean, if it's like Salamence Metagross or something, then Offstar is indeed a difficult poke to switch into.
I wonder if he just stays in and rock slides here just to get the chip damage on. He can't even go to Zapdos at any point to kill it.
Some
That's got to
some
be like it's
sometimes
got to
these
be like
tires are
Metagross.
sometimes the tires are EV to always live a hydro pump, but I mean,
Yeah,
for
I mean rock slide's only going to put out what like
that's the
50-ish
problem.
damage.
Even if he lives, what can you do back?
So you essentially you sack this or hope for hydro pump misses, which are a thing. Looks like he's just gonna maybe he's gonna use this to pivot. So
It's Surf, not Hydro Pump, so maybe it's not an off star. Does have T-Bolt, and Roar is going to drag out a Salamence here, which has the old Doug Trio nickname. Not a fan of Linear's nicknames this game.
you don't like Doug the Salamence?
Sure,
Looks
not
like that
not getting
CB.
lefties.
Yeah. Or obviously it could be a quote unquote itemless mints.
Black Belt.
Yeah, black belt, silk scarf. I was just about to say he could really use a freeze right here.
Yeah, it's
And
not
then
as relevant on the Starmie because of Natural Cure, but
well,
obviously.
yeah, but he can use this if he thinks that he's gonna switch out. He can use this to pivot.
Oh wow, he goes into that on the Doug poke. That is some balls. Blissy's the
That was
obvious switch there, and he fucking into something that just used Ice Beam. Lanier has the balls to
yeah.
go to Salamence, and even UD says, "Good God, what a play for Lanier!" And he didn't even think twice, too. That wasn't after a fucking minute and a half of deliberation either.
No,
Lanier
that
did
was a
that
huge double.
instantly.
I was just about to say, UD might use this to pivot into something that can deal with Blissey, assuming the Blissey is going to come in to shake off the freeze. And Linear, yeah, like you said, Linear, without even thinking, knows that's what UD is going to do, and then goes right into his ments. That's huge.
What a play. For those of you who are wondering, those of you in the chat who asked the question, why is Lanier better than everybody else? That turns a great example. That's why, because Lanier does things like that and you don't. What a play. Great play for Lanier. Fucking balls of steel. What a play.
You should just break again. There's no way a BP's not coming.
Can you fucking imagine that he brick breaks again here?
I think UD might do one of those turns where he finally just says maybe he stays in. Maybe I can catch him.
I
Because
will.
there's two ways you're gonna win. It's if you pivot to the
Oh, it
and
is
he
the
does.
PP. Oh, I would have woken the neighbors had he brick bricked again. That would have been ridiculous because you know UD doesn't have a Gengar because earlier he had that focus punch situation or
Yeah,
the brick break situation. You know that I mean he doesn't have a good fighting switch other than the Zapdos because he let the Coon earlier eat the CB brick break. You know that brick break there from the Mets would have fucking devastated something.
Yeah, I was really hoping he was going to go for it, but there are some times where it's completely unnecessary.
Oh, it's so hard. It's
And
so hard to do
I
there. I
don't
mean,
know if
would have
this is
been a
actually the time because letting this T-Tar come in for free is very problematic right now with your bulky Suicune gone and your Gross gone.
oh.
And it fucking matter.
We were talking about that poke earlier, and there she is, Counter Bliss,
Wow.
100% KO.
Wow.
UD
Absolutely
is
huge.
reaching for his beer.
That's game, right? I mean,
We don't know the
so this
last two. We can't call it game, but
if
that
you know what?
was.
Funnily enough, if this is Wish CM Rachi, he has a very good shot of winning. Oh, never mind. He's got the
I was gonna
T-tar in the back.
say we gotta wait for the last pokes.
I know. I know. I just want to hype it up. I want to make it seem like UD has a chance in this one.
He does.
He can burn with a fire punch. Don't doubt. Oh, Flygon.
Fire blast, no
That's
burn.
huge though that he doesn't have the EQ. That might actually win. Wish CM, assuming that it has fire punch instead of not fire punch.
Very good analysis.
I mean, what else could it be? Because obviously you're usually always running psychic there. And I have seen single attack
I mean,
Jirachis, but I forget what the fourth move
I,
usually
I
is.
mean, if it's double choice bander from Lanier, if both Meta and Salamence are CB, then clearly he has a vested interest in removing Gengar. And the other thing is that the Blissey may not have Ice Beam, right? It might just be because it's counter. It might be a Blissey that also just can't touch Gengar at all. So there are at least three reasons on the team that Lanier would want to have a Pursuit Tar. In the meantime,
No,
Ice Beam took
this
out
is
Flygon there.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we skipped over that one.
Yeah, that's a minor detail for this game, I'd say.
I think that was pretty obvious when the T-Tar came in and that was what was about to happen, but obviously it did in fact happen. So here comes probably. And he didn't. He didn't. Look, Lanier with another great play, knowing he's not. And considering this is bulky, I'm fully expecting a T-bolt. It might not be, and if it's not, then Linear might actually be in a bit of trouble. But I
Yeah,
guess we'll
the
see.
Rachi has a shot here,
It does.
especially
It does have a real shot.
without knowing the full Bliss set. I mean, what I'm thinking we're looking at is soft boiled T wave counter seismic toss. Which, if this is in fact the bulky
I wonder.
combine wish Rachi,
I
that's not
think
going to get it done.
if I'm Linear, well, oh, that's game. Well,
Uh
no,
no,
no, it's not.
it's still not
No, it's
over.
not. I thought he was gonna go. Wait, is this so? This is Super Achi, I guess.
Well, Super Rachi doesn't usually have Thunderbolt.
It doesn't. No.
Uh,
Because Linear seems afraid to go to the men's. But for some reason, I was pegging this in my mind as kind of a bulky CM Rachi. So my thinking was I surf once and then I go to the CB men's.
I know that Lanier didn't go for Blissey there either, so maybe he doesn't have Thunder Wave. Maybe he's got Toxic or something. Because clearly, from Lanier's end, with the Blissey, you would just go, you'd come into Bliss, you'd go soft boiled, you'd get a Thunder Wave off, right? Because
Yes.
then, yeah, because then the Thunder Wave just sets up the CB men's.
Well,
But so he must
well,
not have it.
that's the downside of counter, obviously. So that's probably counter, soft boiled, Stoss, and Ice Beam is usually what that set is. So
I
that
usually see it with because Ice Beam is like almost redundant with counter, so like I usually see it with T Wave in that spot.
all right. It does in fact look like this is not a Wish Rachi, so it's not going to be able to win. Um,
Well, if the Rachi is faster than Salamence here, but yeah, Lanier's playing this absolutely correctly because Blissey will
I guess
survive a non-crit, and then Seismic Toss will kill here.
yeah, Psychic Crits is only an option, right?
No, he can get like Thunderbolt Power, Full Power, or an Ice Beam Freeze or something like that. Ice Punch rather.
That's true. I guess if you have Ice Punch, you fish it right here.
Thunderbolt Power, Full Power, Psychic Freeze. There's also a scenario because we don't know the full Zapdos set. Like, if he could knock him into range to like a hypothetical Drill Peck or a hypothetical Well, HP fighting wouldn't help him because then the Zapdos would lose to the Salamence. So, hypothetical Drill Peck, I guess, and then the Thunderbolt from Zap would have to crit the Salamence. Basically, either way, in any hypothetical scenario, UD is going to need to catch some luck here.
Yep.
And he has 30 seconds on his timer to figure out the best way to do that. He does have Ice Punch. He gets the freeze. 20% freeze. He got it.
So is this Superachi max speed?
He might win now. There's Psychic. And he's going to live
I guess
barely.
we're gonna
Oh,
here.
this is a huge turn. No, the Rachi's faster. Now,
Okay, this is an issue. What do you do here?
soft boiled, Psychic. Soft
no
boiled.
no
Oh,
drop.
oh,
He still
is
can win
massive.
with
This
the
is really
drop, though.
close. Blissey could win here, but obviously crits, freezes, whatever. There's a drop. There's a soft. This is going to be fucking close. And this whole
The next
time,
one's gonna do 30, man. The next one's gonna do
Rachi's
35.
lifting
Yeah,
up. There's
31.
31. There's a toss.
Don't forget the T-Bolt is gonna do 30 something percent too.
In real time, I'm seeing GGs. Is it over? Did Lanier lose? They're going.
He quit.
Soft-boiled Psychic. There is the critical hit and the seismic toss. UD finds the very clutch critical hit, and he is going to send the GOAT of CALLOUS Invitational. He is going to send Lanier to the lower bracket. UD with a huge win. He's gone through fakes. He's gone through Lanier in this tour. What a huge win for UD. Ridiculously close late game. He got the freeze, which was massive, and then there was a lot of variance in RNG in the final Rachi versus Blissey situation. Obviously could have gone either way. He got a drop, he got a crit, and he got what he needed. Oh, and
Wow.
it looks like the next set's ready to go.
Oh, we're already diving in.
Seems it. But man,
All right, cut this and jump to the next.
that was fucking wild. Oh, we're doing it all in one video.
One video. All right, give me like 30. One video. One isn't what the people want. All right.
No, I'll cut it off. 2 videos. All right. See you guys in a minute.